Right. So, Kiara and Namaskar. My name is Ravi Gupta, and I am here from Webfit News in association with NZICA. And today we are here for a cause. We wanted to understand, we wanted to talk about that how we can, if we are trying to do something, if you are trying to make some changes in the society or in our community, how can we get it done? And that's why we have two very important guests, in our conversation today. And I'll try to introduce one by one. So, of course, like things goes, ladies first. So let's get started with the person sitting here. And before I tell the name, of course, everybody is aware about that. I would like to read some, really good attributes about that person. So I have just done some homework. So starting with Tamaki Health, founded 1977 with her husband, and of course services 300,000 patients through dozens of clinics. Major contribution to making healthcare more accessible. Gandhi Niwas, founded 2014, provides early intervention and safe housing for men at risk of committing family harm. Has already helped 6,000 plus families in Auckland, seen as innovative model globally. Now, King's birthday honor and recognition. Hear me out, okay? It's not over yet. King's birthday honors 2023, appointed as a Dame Companion of New Zealand Order of Merit for services to ethnic communities, health and family violence prevention. Now, Kiwi Bank Innovator of the Year Award 2021, first Indian origin woman to be inducted into. All right. Now, strong advocate of social cohesion and community well-being. Now, famous for saying, it's all about the people, hey tangata, hey tangata, hey tangata. So, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Ranjna Patel. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Ravi.
Welcome. And I would also like to get honor, introducing who doesn't need any introduction और जिसको देखने के बाद बस एक ही आवाज आती है कि जिंदगी लंबी नहीं बड़ी होनी चाहिए. Our own Veer sir, NZICA president. Thank you so much, sir, for sitting with us and having conversation. Thank you so much, ma'am. Yep. So, what do you think? What do you feel that how our conversation is going to be?
I'm wondering what we're going to be talking about. Thank you for the kind of introduction. It is all about the people.
Of course. Thank you so much. And like I was talking to you, why we are here. We are here for a cause. Nobody, we all are spending our, personal time. And why are we here? We are here because we wanted to make awareness video. We wanted to talk about it. That why, in Hindi we say matdan, voting. Why should we vote? And that's why we are here and, we are sitting and talking. So I will start conversations which can relate to us, which can talk about our community. Why are we, why do we need to participate in that? Let's get going. To get started with, Dame Ranjana, you had such an extraordinary journey, founding Tamaki Healthcare and so on, So on top of that, your King's honor of the induction into NJ Business Hall of Fame shows how much your contribution are recognized. Now, I want to understand that how do you see all these achievements, what message you want to send to the youth?
I think it's very humbling to have these awards and recognitions. And I think that they've only come about purely because of the people I've worked with. Nothing special in a way, but having the best people around you has enabled a lot of good things to be done. Take being the first woman president of Manukau Indian Association. Veer was there and was saying, go ahead, go and do it. But in all its history, it never had a woman president. But when you get support, and so enabling me to do that was having some strong people behind me that said, yes, we can do it and we will help you. So I think to the young people, I quite often quote that you don't have to be anything special. I left school at 7th form, but common sense, good, clear values are good enablers when you want to get things done. If you persist in saying, I can't, it won't get done. If you keep saying it's impossible, that word broken down says, I'm possible. So look at things with a half full glass. The glass is always going to be half empty, but if you look at it positively, there's so much you can achieve.
Right. Very rightly said. Thank you so much for that. And like you mentioned, it's very important for us to look at the life the way it is. The glass is half full or half empty. It's the way you look at it. Yeah. So very well said. Thank you so much for that. Now I want to understand. You always, you always campaign the community well-being. How do you see voting in local election as part of the strengthening communities like ours?
I think, you take generally in India, we have one of the highest rate of voting for a democratic country. And when we come to New Zealand, perhaps no one sees someone like them in politics. They don't see people that look like them in governing positions. And hence, it becomes, oh, why bother? We can't make a difference, which is very sad. In Auckland, just to have one elected councillor of Indian origin is very, very sad. So I think, it's time that the orange papers make a big difference. They're sitting on your table, that unless you do something, your voice is not going to be heard. It's never going to be heard. And you're always going to have your glass half empty. But if you are enabling someone that represents what you are, represents the values you put forward, whichever part of New Zealand you're in, it's so important to at least have the say. Look at the ballot papers, read the little booklets that come with it. They're available in different languages online. And so look at what's been presented to you, that you will find someone that aligns with your values, that aligns, that looks like you. And vote, even if you don't do the whole shebang, just do what you like and help to be in the governing body. It's very important that we have our say instead of being quiet. So many Indians have put their name forward, which makes me so happy. I would never put my name forward in politics because I think I'm unemployable. I was in the same business, self-employed for 50 years. But these people have put their hand up. And it's not an easy job to be in politics, in governing bodies, and they've put their hand up. So it's so important to support them.
Rightly said, yeah. And like you mentioned, we are in thousands now. And if
hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands. And we can't get even one elected there, then it's not something there's wrong, something wrong. Yeah, Lisa, you want to add something to that,
Yeah, absolutely. I think our focus has to be understanding what a democratic setup means, how your water should be serviced to you, how your rubbish should be collected, how the park should look like, how the road should be. You can be a decision maker by taking this first step. Vote for the right person.
Exactly.
Bring diversity, because many times people who are already elected may not have the full breadth of understanding. But if you get more diversity there, then you basically bring in more thought process. You add value to the whole understanding of needs of people. Because we live in a very beautiful country where democracy is practiced to the lowest level, right from the parliament up to the to the not only district level, I'll say to the street level, you can have your say. And because we as NZICA have been requesting people, and people have obliged by standing up, because this is an inertia that we have brought people out of. Now, whether general public responds and makes it happen, what we are saying is choose a quality candidate, bring diversity into the local board. Then next time when the elections come for the national body, parliament election, we can take the next step. Let's see how we take the first step today. That's what we are trying to convey.
Yeah. And like we said, that it's all about taking the first step. After that, you have a journey to achieve. And so, yes, again, we are requesting all of you to please come out and vote for it, because this is the time. Later on, there is no point, getting disappointed. We can just vote and have our voice. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, moving on, to have the conversation going. I want to understand, keeping to inspire the younger voters. Now, young people often feel that their one vote doesn't matter. You have inspired so many, and of your own discipline and leadership. What would you say to encourage them to vote?
I think you will get two camps of young people, those that don't care and the others that are committed. I think the committed ones are the ones that need to encourage the others to have an interest. There's so many things that young people can do. When you talk about wanting to lower the age of voting, we're unable at the moment to get over 18s to vote. That how are we going to be disruptive in getting 16-year-olds to vote? So I think, I like my grandchildren, as soon as they turned 18 in September when the last elections happened, and the whole conversation for 3 weeks around the table is, who are we going to vote for? And so it went from all the different parties of who was good, who was bad, who would be good for the brown person, who would bring diversity to the table, because they're fourth generation here, but they're still going to look like this. And so the racism they face, the barriers they face, that discussion all came around the table. So perhaps the parents need to encourage, if they're seen to be voting, the younger people will take an interest, even just to argue with the parents, to say, why are you voting for them? So to just somehow stimulate the conversation when those orange packs come is so important, whether it's the parents doing it or the child doing it. Those that are committed and want to make a difference, and there's a lot of people, because I think within our community we do a lot of seva, and with seva comes responsibility. And so I think taking that a step further would be, this is seva for the wider community that you're doing and having your vote and your word listened to. And every single vote does count. And that's why we get the laziness that we only have 40% that vote, because everybody thinks my vote doesn't matter. But every single vote does matter. And that's the biggest thing we should have in our head, that my vote will count, whether it's for I want the playgrounds to be right, or I want the roads fixed, I hate the bumps out by my road. Whatever the reason, you've all got something to gripe about. But griping doesn't get you anywhere.
Exactly.
You need to have your voice heard at the right place.
Yes. And like you said, every drop matters,
It does.
And it's end of the day, it's going to be for the next generation. Right?
Yes.
If we don't keep the first stone now, it will be very late. So yeah, let's so it's a request to all of you. Let's vote. Yep. Thank you. So
if you look at the difference of the winner and the second, sometimes it has been even 5 votes.
Yes.
In New Zealand. So it makes it more sensible that every vote can change the situation. It is so important. And as everybody is saying, as I spoke what Ranjna ji is saying, that these discussions should come onto the dining table. The parents should talk to the senior children, these eligible children, and have a discussion. You never know, they may have sometimes more information about a candidate which can enlighten us. And today, when you are going into the workforce, we were just talking before starting this, that it is not only important these days that how many marks you are scoring. It's equally important how wide your knowledge base is, how wide your understanding is. You want to become a doctor but don't even understand who funds that hospital, how the funding works in this country. These are all democratic institutions, basically. So you can't say, I'm not interested. it is directly involving us. So we have to get into it, and how we motivate is basically, if they are not voting, I think it's my failure. If my children are not voting, I think we have to take it to that level.
If you're not planning, we're planning to fail.
Yeah.
Yes.
As simple as that.
That is very
Thank you.
much.
Very well said. Yeah, both of you, thank you so much. Yeah. Moving on to the next topic, which I want to understand, representation and diversity. The question I was trying to work out with, we are seeing more candidates of Indian origin this year, like you said a while ago. Without endorsing anyone, how do you see the value of having a diverse voice at the table?
I think it's very important, that diversity of voice. I'll just reflect a little bit on my journey. I've been working with Auckland Indian Association, Manukau Indian Association, NZICA, and quite often it's the same people grumbling about the same thing. And we are not having a voice at the level where we can make a difference. So 10 years ago, I decided to sit on mainstream boards, mostly NGOs, not for profit, where my voice can be heard, where my diversity of thought can be heard. Now, the very first ministerial position I sat on, the MP that put me there said, I need you to speak and be forthcoming in your view. And I did, and it failed. I was the only member in that ministerial part to be only there for one term. But my departure disintegrated that whole group, because other three people said the only diversity of thought at the table was her, and you've decided she's not valuable, that we're resigning. So it took 6 years to reignite the NACU organisation. So having our voice heard at mainstream is so important for diversity of thought. And so now, sitting on Mental Health Foundation, Diversity Works, being at the table to judge awards. I've judged the EY Awards, the Deloitte's Awards, the AS, the Kiwi Bank Awards, the East Auckland Business Awards. Having our voice heard when an Indian applicant or a Chinese applicant comes and they do business in a slightly different way, it's looked upon suspiciously. When we started our practice, the colonial way of doing it wasn't going to pay our mortgage. And so we had to look what our customer wanted. And our customer, being in South Auckland, wanted service. And our model that we brought into wasn't providing that service. They wanted appointments, limited time. But the families were from low socioeconomics, and hence they could not have the luxury of having an appointment. If it was raining, a mum in the 70s, a phone in a car was a luxury. And so if the husband took the car, the mum couldn't bring 4 children to the clinic. So we said we have to open longer hours. Now, to our peers, that was just making our profession cheap, making it too accessible. But that's what our customer needed. And so having that diversity of thought of doing anything at the table is going to be looked at suspiciously. But if you're there, you can voice it. If you're not there, it's never going to be heard. So people will look at you blankly, saying, what the hell is she talking about? But when they analyse what it is you're trying to say, they will understand. Family harm, when police pointed out 90% of the perpetrators are men, but the counsellors all said to me, there's no services for men. So if men do want to change, there's no services. And so when I said, okay, what do we need? Everybody says, just put them in jail. But the 93% of women take the men back with no tools to change their behaviour, no support system. And so just flipping the problem on its head of saying, yes, the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff is women's refuge, but we need to change the problem at the top of the cliff. And so that diversity of thought took a long time. Police understood it, the counsellors did, but the general public didn't. So unless we're there, I was at the police table, so I could voice it. and they understood it, so they helped do it. Being at the table is so important, and having a few knocks is part of the journey, but your voice will get heard. But if you're not at the table, you're not going to get that diversity of thought. You're not going to get it. It's doing the same thing over and over again, you get the same result. If you want to make a difference, you have to look outside the square.
Exactly. So if I understood, your whole journey, I understand that getting knocked out or getting a failure at the first attempt, it doesn't mean that you can't do it.
Yeah.
It just means that you are there. You just started, So keep trying. There's no harm, So it might take one attempt or two attempts, but yes, since you started, like we discussed before, that first step is what matters.
Yeah. And I always say, failing does not make you a failure.
Exactly.
Not learning from that makes you a failure.
How do you want to summarize it, sir?
So basically, if you look at the list of candidates this time, I think there's lots of quality. There's lots of, many professionals are involved. The basic education or experience is quite high. We as the voters are, if you look at the per capita sort of education level or the business level or whatever we are putting in back into the country, everywhere we are having a very good score. So I think this one needs a bit of a push. We have done it when there was nobody in the parliament who was representing diversity. So like there was no Indian in the parliament. Today it is a routine.
Right.
So it has become a norm now. So likewise, it was just that kickstart. Couple of people tried earlier, then it got a bit subdued. But again, because we are talking about it, people are getting a bit more concerned, because we must understand our local boards are not functioning as they should. There's lots of wastage, there's lots of incompetence. So how can you just be ignorant or say, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? क्या फर्क पड़ता तो है ही नहीं सवाल. तो फर्क तो पड़ता है, और अगर तुम में क्षमता है तो ये तो गलत है. पापी तो फिर मैं हूं, है ना? तो वो चीज कन्वे करने के लिए हमारे पास इस वक्त एक पेडिस्टल मिला हुआ है. कल मैं पढ़ रहा था, जस्ट 10% अभी तक लोगों ने वोटिंग किया है. इसका मतलब 90% अभी हमारे कहीं पर पड़े हैं वो ऑरेंज पेपर. और हो सकता है as NZICA president, I would like to basically canvass for it, और कि भाई इसको कंपलसरी करना बहुत जरूरी हो गया है. ऑस्ट्रेलिया इज डूइंग इट, व्हाई नॉट अस? हम तो हर चीज वहां की फॉलो करते हैं तकरीबन, अदर देन रिकॉग्नाइजिंग समथिंग हियर और देयर, बट अदरवाइज तो हर जगह पीछे पीछे हैं. तो यहाँ एक आगे स्टेप. वी आर द फर्स्ट कंट्री हियर हु हैव लेड लाइक गिविंग फ्रेंचाइज टू वुमेन. very like advanced in that. So एक टाइम मुझे लगता है आ गया है कि इसको, if we make it compulsory, maybe then we will take that next step, which will be much more advanced. अभी जो quality of boards है, I think it demands very high introspection by those who are qualified to do it.
Exactly.
And pushing people in.
और अब तो सहूलियत भी बहुत हो गई है वोटिंग करने के लिए. आपके आसपास है बिल्कुल, you just moved out और बस चले जाओ ना, फॉर्म आपके पास है, you just have to go and take mark and just put it in the box. That's it.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take much effort, and which changes a lot of things. So if you want to change, if you are looking for something to get things better, otherwise if you just want to keep cribbing, so continue doing that.
Can't keep griping among ourselves. That's not going to get us anywhere.
Exactly.
देखो आज त्योहार का टाइम है, नवरात्रि का टाइम है. हम कहते थे भाई लेडीज जाती हैं, बंदे नहीं जाते हैं. लेडीज टेल द मेन दैट नहीं चल मेरे साथ, वो भी चलता है. फिर हम कहते थे बच्चे नहीं जाते. नाउ यू विल बी सरप्राइज बच्चों का कितना बड़ा कंटिंजेंट इसमें इन्वॉल्व है, बिकॉज वी डिडंट leave it. We kept pushing as a project. इसमें आज ऑकलैंड में कम से कम 20,000 से 25,000 लोग गरबा शाम को करेंगे. आज संडे है, कल भी शायद 30-40 हज़ार ने किया हो. इट्स अ ह्यूज नंबर. अच्छा, अगर यही माहौल हम बनाए हर घर में, तो वोट तो करना ही करना है. पाप चढ़ेगा, ये पाप है. मैं सच कह रहा हूँ. मतलब इस युग में, कलयुग में अगर आपने दिमाग नहीं लगाया तो नाश है.
एग्जैक्टली.
तो ये तो हमारे लिए एक किस्म से भगवान का वो है. अगर आई विल गिव इट इम्पोर्टेंस, जितना हम देवी माँ के इर्द गिर्द चक्कर लगाते हैं गरबा से, मैं एज NZICA प्रेसिडेंट कह रहा हूँ कि भगवान रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा है आपसे कि आप लोग इसको यूज करो. ये आपके पास हथियार है,
अधिकार है आपका,
अधिकार है,
इसका इस्तेमाल करिए.
और ये वही है कर्मण्यवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन. करो, तुम्हारा कर्म है, ये करना है, फिर देखी जाएगी. अगर तुम सिर्फ, जरूरी नहीं अगर तुमको कोई बहुत अच्छा कैंडिडेट मिलता है, मे बी नॉट नॉन इंडियन की भी इंडियन हो,
गो फॉर इट.
यू शुड गो फॉर इट बिकॉज वी वांट द क्वालिटी. अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे नहीं रहने से क्वालिटी बहुत दूर.
और मत का अधिकार मिला है, एक अधिकार है हमारे पास, एक पावर है. लेट्स मेक यूज ऑफ इट. Otherwise, and like people say, great power comes with a great responsibility. So let's make use of it. Yeah. Thank you so much for those thoughts. They were really provoking and helping. Yeah. Now, I wanted to understand your, the way you have carried your legacy and how do you want to convey the message. So I wanted to, I frame one question. Through Tamaki Health and Gandhi Niwas, you have impacted so many lives. What's your message to the Indian community about using their vote to shape a better Auckland?
I think all we can do is inspire with words of saying, please vote. We can take a horse to water, but we can't make them drink it.
Exactly.
So we can plead and say it's important to vote. You can't really do much more than that. We can't make people do it. Make it as easy as possible. Most of the temples, most of the gurudwaras have put boxes where you can put your votes. So it's not, you will go to the Mundi Nodaki. You will go, everybody will go to halls in Nodaki. So find a way where you can do it. Don't just fill it out, that's one step, but put it in the box. Don't do a half-pie job. It took me 3 days after I filled in to go and put it in a box. So I know it can be complacent. It's easy to just forget about it. But I think you have to take action if you want to make a difference. If you're happy with the way things are, if you don't want to or aspire to go into politics in the future, then just stay as you are. Talking about Navratri, my mother in the late 60s started the first Navratri Garba at Auckland Indian Association in Victoria Street, the Gandhi Centre there. And the first time they only did it for the weekend, and they had such a good response. Their main ethos was, we'll raise some money to send to India for a Monday. And the women got together to do it. So it's a small